Hello, quick video tour of my 2017 Promaster van. I personally purchased this vehicle in 2017 brand new from Camping World. It was manufactured by a company called Hymer. They were Canadian based production. I believe they purchased a production line from Road Trek. Nonetheless, it's a Hymer Sunlight Van 1 originally. And I'll just do a little walk around, show you the exterior and the modifications that I've made to it. One of the most notable differences is that the vehicle no longer has a rooftop mounted air conditioner. It now has a 12-volt Marine mini split unit. Half the unit is inside the van, the other half is hanging beneath the van as a condenser. Having removed the AC system allowed me to add 700 watts of solar to the rooftop, which is awesome for just topping off the batteries and keeping a positive charge on it at all times. In addition to that, the van is really stealth-like. If you pull into a parking lot, a Walmart parking lot, you don't look like a camper van. You look more like a transport van. Do a quick tour of the outside of the van just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Most all the van is original. I've gone around and blacked out and painted most of the silver trim. Kind of makes a nice appearance. Has a built-in fixed step, which makes it easy to get in and out, and it's high enough that you don't snag it on anything. The lower panels that are down near where the steps are, like right about here, are hinged and they lift up, and actually in that location is a 3-gallon propane bottle that can be filled at any propane provider or supplier. Good view, a side view that shows you the removal of the rooftop air conditioner. It also gives you an idea of what the solar panel installation looks like, which kind of just blends right into the profile of the van itself. You'll see in the rear I have a max air fan, and that's over top of the shower. That's thermostatically controlled. It's rainproof. There's a lot of nice options built into that. The rear of the van has a Fiamma dual bicycle rack that folds up and folds back down. This is a really nice bicycle rack. I bought it when I first purchased the vehicle. I think it retailed for about $800, and really enjoyed it. It allows me to load electric bicycles or heavier bicycles onto it. It folds down and holds them very well. It's easily it's theft proof the way it's mounted to the van. It can't be removed. It's just really nice combination, and I've really enjoyed having it. Another shot of the fold down bicycle rack as well as the hitch that's on it. A little better view of the bicycle rack deployed and put out. There you can see the rails that are adjustable for each different types of bicycles. The van has a 23-gallon gray water tank at the rear of the van, and in the lower right hand corner you can see the dump valve for it. It's shower water or sink water, so it's kind of 50-50. I don't mind dropping it on the ground, so many times I just leave the valve open, and when I do take a shower, it just drops the water to the ground. The view of the side of the van, you can see built in onto the side is two things. One is the port for the hot water heater, and the other is for the cabin heater. Both of them are propane operated. Similar to the other side, these panels are hinged and can be lifted up. Down there is the city water supply and the rest of it. I just want to give you a little history of some of the modifications I've made to the van. Probably the most important have been the electrical upgrades. I purchased this vehicle in 2017, but I also lived in it from January 2019 to June of 2021. So 2.5 years I lived in this van. And when I say it's a solid van and everything works in it, I mean it. I have traveled everywhere with this van, and everything is tried and true. One of the most important upgrades I made was the electrical system. As we go through it, I'll show you the van has 826 amp hours of lithium iron phosphate batteries, which gives the van the ability to be essentially a mobile power station. In addition to that, I've installed a 12-volt marine air conditioner made by Cruise and Comfort, and that air conditioner is a little over 8,000 BTU, which is plenty enough for the small volume of air that's in this van. It's a split unit, but most importantly, being a 12-volt unit, it does not consume much electricity at all. It generally operates right around at a mid power level setting. The AC is probably pulling about 625 watts at the most. In the lower settings, it's down below 500 watts. So you can do the math. I can, in my configuration with the duty cycle running through the night, Florida, summertime evening, I can run with a full battery, run through the night, air conditioning all night long, wake up in the morning, and I'm generally sitting about 85% power remaining, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. In addition to having the massive battery capacity, there's 2 ways, or actually 3 ways, to recharge those batteries. One is you can plug it in to 120 volts landline, and the converter will supply 12 volts, but that's not much fun. Number 2 is what originally came on the van, which is a 280 amp dedicated alternator for the vehicle's or the camper's battery system. This thing is amazing because within an hour of driving, it will top off the batteries. It has its own built-in regulator for lithium profile charging, and it's very well controlled. It's a really nice thought out system. It works extremely well. The quickest way for me to charge these batteries is to start the motor. Even at idle, I can be putting 90 amps of electricity back into the battery pack. Meanwhile, at all times, I have the solar, and depending on where the sun is throughout the day, I can go as high as 700 watts of power being fed from the solar panel. It's super nice and it's super passive. You can be sitting, rather than your batteries having just a slow drain all day long, just letting the van sit out in a parking lot is just sitting there continuously topping these batteries at 100%, which is wonderful if you're stationary for a period of time, or you park someplace and you're going to overnight, but you just don't want to deplete any of your batteries and you want to save what you have. This thing is continuously adding power to the batteries. I'll give a tour of the inside and try not to make you too dizzy with the camera movements. Nonetheless, when you first step into the van, as I mentioned, there's a built-in step, sliding door. There's a storage cabinet right here, and inside of here, you can see my 12-volt air conditioning, at least the evaporator portion. The green material is just a filter intake, just like you would have on your household. You'll see the supply duct coming, and then I port up to a plenum that I made in the top of the box. This kind of will make sense when you see it here. So this brown grill is return air duct, air going back to the system. Up here is an ocular adjustable AC vent. And you can see I've surrounded this whole unit with these ocular type. There we go. And you can see how you can control where you want the cool air blowing and how and what direction. And the other nice thing is if you don't want them blowing on this area at all, you just go ahead and close them off. So it's kind of a nice system. The thermostat's located right here and can be set. Another shot of the interior. So it's got dimmable LED surround lighting inside. You can see the 120 volt microwave. Below that is a 12 volt kitchen sink. This wooden box is just a box that I made that sits on top of a 2-burner propane stove that's built in. I'll show you that in another view. The water is held in a 21-gallon tank and can be heated. There's a hot water heater on board. Flip a switch. About 3 minutes later, you got hot water either to this sink or to the shower in the rear. A built-in Dometic refrigerator, which I can honestly tell you, having lived in it for 2.5 years, this refrigerator will hold about 4 to 5 days worth of food, 4 or 5 days worth of groceries for 2 people, to easily cook out of and keep things refrigerated. Works really well. It's a 12 volt refrigerator, so it's just feeding off of the battery power all the time. And that's kind of like what I was saying, is if you just park the van, you have the refrigerator always pulling power, but if you park it and it's the van seeing sunlight, you have solar that's making up for that and actually still charging. Built-in sliding windows that open up. They come with there's 3 of these windows, 1, 2, and then one behind me on the sliding door itself. Built-in nice options. They have a slider that's a screen, so now you can keep the bugs out, or you can slide that back across, and then you have a blackout panel that slides across when you're ready to go to sleep at night and you want a little privacy. The whole van blacks out like this. There's no way to see inside of it. Even up in the crew area like this, there's curtains that will draw right across and just black out and give you that privacy, and it's quick. Here's a back view of the van. You can see it's a 2-couch orientation, and the bed can be configured multiple different ways. You can either sleep on it as the 2 slender couches. You can make one side into a single size bed because beneath these cushions is a panel that slides out and slides across. You can slide it halfway and make this whole area a single bed, and it's a single size sheet, and fitted sheet fits it. Or you can slide that panel all the way across, and this entire thing becomes one king size bed. These cushions that are on the side just fold down and fall into the respective places. Amazingly, it's incredibly comfortable. Like I said, I've slept in this van for over 2.5 years and didn't use a mattress topper or anything like that, and slept very well. Looking at this, I'll kind of explain where some of the components are. So under this couch is hidden a lot of goodies. So first off, there is a gas heater for the van is located under this couch, and it blows out of this vent right here. There's also a hot water heater under this couch that provides hot water for the van. And then lastly, over in this area under the cushions is an inverter, 2,000 watt inverter, and all the wiring, all the circuit boards and everything are brought completely to one panel that's housed right there. Now over here underneath this couch is the entire length up to here is storage, is the lithium iron phosphate batteries. I stored them inside, and that way you don't have any issues with freezing temperatures or any issues where you can't use your batteries. Under this area here, as you've seen before, the evaporator for the air conditioner is in this area. Quick shot of the 4 206 amp hour batteries stored. They have structural aluminum holding them down and secure. You also can see in this corner here, this is a solar charge controller. It makes the appropriate amount of electricity heading back into the batteries. All the wiring can be seen here. It's been professionally done. I did it myself. This system's been up and running for over a year. I'm totally pleased with it. Works very, very well. It's definitely the selling point of the van as far as being off-grid and the ability just to be anywhere, run air conditioning continuously, and not even worry about power or having to connect to anything. Quick shot of the air conditioning system, give you an idea of how it works and what it sounds like. So here's it firing on. And I wish you could feel it, but it's blowing nice cold air. It's on a medium power setting right now. I don't know how much RV experience you have, but this is about half of the noise that's associated with a rooftop air. Rooftop airs are extremely noisy, and this is, to me, is about half the amount of decibels. Makes it very comfortable to sleep at night. It has multiple 120 volt and 12 volt outlets throughout. Right here is a 120 volt outlet that's connected to the inverter. It's always on because I always leave the inverter on. So I always have plug-in power for whatever you may need, a vacuum or some type of skill saw that you want to run outside the van. You can just plug in there, run the extension cord out. Here's another 12 volt outlet or 120 volt outlet right here at the foot of the bed. It's kind of convenient being there because I normally have a small coffee maker sitting up top of this box that kind of holds all my goodies, or an espresso maker. I've had both installed there. Here you can see the thermostat for the gas heat right here, and then a thermostat / control for the max air fan that's in the back above the shower. So it just kind of gives you an idea. Located up in these little niches, I've installed USB ports. It's on both sides. I've also installed these nice little boxes to throw your phone and chargers and other things like that. Same USB port up there as well. Down below, see if I can see it. That's a USB port, 120 volts and 12 volt connection there. So kind of like a menagerie of electrical ability to plug in. That same thing is reproduced right over here in the lower portions of the screen. Right here is the same electrical. Right next to that is O2 sensor, so if anyone parks next to you in the middle of the night and they're running and they have exhaust and you start smelling that exhaust, that O2 sensor will wake you up in a heartbeat, allow you to know that you're maybe in a critical reduction of oxygen environment. Similarly, if you were to have like a propane leak or anything like that on board, that would alert you. So the shower / toilet system, kind of ingenious. Basically, I'll back up. You can see the entire floor here is one big shower pan, and it wraps underneath the toilet as well. Originally, this van was produced with a toilet. I didn't like the idea of adding black water to the tank. I just want gray water, which I know I'm safe to just drop. I've lived in a tiny house for over a year and a half, so I was already familiar with the Nature's Head toilet. It's a $1,000 toilet. It works super well, and it does not stink at all. Easy to service. It's something that's probably serviced and dumped. The aggregate's dumped probably every 3 months. The urine is just a container that pulls out, and you can dump it at your leisure. You can walk into a public bathroom and dump it, or you can just pour it out on the ground, one or the other. Also, kind of conveniently built in here is a fold-down sink. I'll try to do this with one hand, show you what it's like. Fold-down sink that has a tray that goes back and allows the water to drain back and ultimately make it back to the tank. The hot water is controlled right by here, and there's a shower head there that's removable, and you can do whatever you need to do to take a shower. There's a shower curtain that goes all the way around this area. You can see it just wraps all the way around and leaves you standing over top of that shower pan, which collects all the water. The Nature's Head toilet is totally waterproof. You can't you can't do anything wrong to it. It's all made out of stainless and plastic. So you can either sit on the toilet and take a shower, or you can just stand in this area here and shower. Now we'll talk about storage. Back here's a large pantry area that's just basically, I use baskets, and some of it I use as pantry for food, and then some other miscellaneous items. And then down here is a stack of 3 very deep drawers in depth, as well as in depth going back to the van, as well as in depth to stack things. And that's mostly what I use for my clothing. Additional storage is the overhead storage. There's a lot of it, and it's super convenient for most items. You can see here I have bedding and pillows thrown up in this one. More bedding. Best way to handle all this is basically with baskets and things of that matter. They're on magnetic locks, so it's fairly easy to access them. You can see all the insulation that was all installed by me. I've insulated all the walls and the entire ceiling of this van. When I purchased it from Hymer, it had no insulation. Now it's fully insulated, and it works really well. I've been in cold climates, and it works well. To show where the overhead air conditioning unit was, I've put an access panel or control panel. It's been sealed from the outside. The outside of the van has a metal panel over it and sealed properly. And then this is just an interior trim piece that kind of covers that area where it once was. Quick shot of the remaining storage, which is over top of the cab. May not be real easy to see in this view, but it's probably about 2.5, 3 foot deep, about 7 inches tall, and so it's a great place for blankets and things that you're going to be grabbing daily, because it's just conveniently located. Shot of how I monitor my entire electrical or battery system. This right here is a Victron battery monitoring system. It's a shunt, so it sees every bit of current that's being used in the van at any time. It's a Bluetooth model, so I just look at the app on my phone. I can see what the vehicle's doing, if it's in a state of charge, if it's in a state of what the state of the charge of the battery is, if it's, how quickly I'm using power. I can see that all from this display. Or from my phone. Same thing for the charge controller, the solar charge controller that's located down below there. It's Bluetooth as well. But most importantly, could be seen from an app. I pull up that app, it will tell me exactly what I'm collecting from the sun. So it's so wonderful to turn that on, look at it and say, whoa, look, I got 625 watts coming in for free to my batteries. Mounts for a table, one of them's right here, the other one is right up here. Both the front seats swivel. The honesty of it is I swivel this one. I rarely ever do anything with that. Swiveling this is really nice. Having the table there is super nice for a laptop, and it's super comfortable just to sit there and put your feet here and just kind of surf the internet that way with a laptop on your lap. Just showing the 2-burner gas stove I was showing you before, and this box that I built, it just sits over top of it. It can't slide because it's the exact same dimensions as the burner or the stove itself, but it's convenient. So when in like cooking mode, you just kind of set that box off to the side, do your cooking, and then once it's cooled down, set the box back on top, and it kind of keeps all those things that you kind of grab throughout your trip. And if you were to set them on a table, they'd slide off, but throwing them in this box just keeps them all contained. Shot with the swivel seats. Like I said, they both do, but most often I really just swivel this one. Something I didn't want to forget was the GPS. I installed a GPS where the rear view mirror was, because there's no point in having a rear view mirror since you can't see out the back. Nonetheless, it's a GPS, Garmin, and super awesome to have that GPS and satellite action, even when you don't have good cell phone. And then the other option that's built into it is a backup camera, which is awesome because you can't see very well out the back for small animals and dogs and kids and stuff like that. So it's always a nice confidence to be able to click that on, back up with confidence, and see how close you are to something. So in conclusion, Not only has this been my home for the last 2.5 years, it's also been my pride and joy. I put a lot of work into it, a lot of love into it. It's a wonderful machine. You can take it anywhere and you're always home. You always have the conveniences of home. You always have your clothes, you always have hot water, you have a hot shower, you have a nice, comfortable, air-conditioned place or heated place to lay your head down, and you have privacy. So it's been a wonderful vehicle for me. I'll give you some history on it. It's never seen any damage. It's never been involved in an accident. It's never had any breakdowns, mechanical breakdowns at all. The only interaction I've ever had with the dealer was to take it in to get a recall done, which was on a shifter cable. And I just did it because they mailed me paperwork that said, hey, bring it in for a recall. So I did. Other than that, I've just put tires on it, kept the oil fresh in it always, and it is a reliable vehicle. It runs really well. There's no issues. Everything, and I mean everything works in it. Everything works in as far as the chassis goes, and everything works as far as the RV goes. And they all seem to work very, very well.